Hey, what's poppin' guys, Sizzle here, and today we're taking a look at the XM1014 skins. First we have stock, which exists. It's definitely not bad, doesn't have like a crazy amount of weight or anything, but doesn't really have a lot going on. It doesn't look particularly clean or worn or anything, yeah, I mean it's just really basic, probably just a solid D tier as far as stock and just general skins go. Let me see where it is. I'm assuming this is it. This seems like weirdly dark compared to the other skins, but maybe there's just a lot of bright XM skins, so yeah. Anyway, then we have our first XM, like actual skin, which is the XM1014 Urban Perforated. I mean, it looks ugly. I don't really know what to say here. This thing just looks really ugly. Like, every little design and every little thing done on this weapon just makes it look worse and worse the longer you look at it. And it's also an older skin, so it has a lot of wear on it. It does not look good. It's an easy F tier. And yeah, the only thing this thing has going for is that it might be recognizable as different from stock, but that's like a negative here, because you don't want people to actually look at that. Then we have the XM1014 Grassland, which has kind of the same look as the Tornado has, except instead of a nice light blue, it has a pretty shitty, like, color green. I would say grass green, but this is not the color grass. Yeah, I mean, it's somewhat clean, but also really bland. Like, it's a clean finish with really bland colors, so it's kind of just a C tier for me. Not horrible, but not really amazing in any real capacity. Then we have the XM1014 Jungle, which is kind of the inverse version of what we just looked at, and it looks 80 times worse. It has probably the worst set of colors you could put together. This literally makes me want to throw up. Just probably a really solid F tier. I guess still above the other thing we looked at right at the start, because that thing was just fucking atrociously bad. Then we have a really common skin, the XM1014 Blue Spruce. I think that's the one everyone gets dropped. Like, I feel like I've gotten like 30 of these over the years just from CS drops, and I've seen everyone using it for the same reason. It's also not a bad looking skin. I mean, it's the same general clean finish as the thing in C tier, but with nicer colors. I mean, these aren't particularly amazing colors. It's not like something I would, go out of my way and buy, but, it's a really common skin with just okay colors. It's definitely better than what we've seen so far, but not by much, right? It's just a solid C tier as well. Then next up, we have the XM1014 Charter, which exists. I think this is supposed to be, because it's called the Charter, I think this is supposed to be like a map or something, but it's such a jumbled mess that you can't really see any details of a map, and it just looks like someone put some like gift wrap over some parts of the XM and left the rest as default. It just doesn't really look good. It looks worse than stock, but it definitely is nowhere near those skins in F tier. So I'm probably just gonna put it right below stock, because I think that's a fair place for it to be. I think it's just worse than stock, and that's about it. Then we have the XM1014 Blue Tire, which is a full, the full skin, but I can't really tell what it is. I mean, it is actually somewhat nicer than stock. I can't really explain why, but if you're looking for something that shows a lot of wear better, this is, I mean, you can look at this and it looks damaged. It looks like something bad has happened to this gun. And for that, I'll give it some credit and put it right above the stock in D tier. Then next up, we have the XM1014 Fallout Warning, which, yeah, they kind of botched this one. The whole point of these Fallout gold nuke skins is you're supposed to be able to see this radiation symbol right here in the front, and you really have to be at a really specific angle to even have a chance of seeing half of the radiation symbol. That being said, though, unlike a lot of the other Fallout skins, the rest of this skin actually looks kind of clean, and there actually is a second Fallout one which you'll see, second radiation symbol which you'll see a bit more. And also the way the wear and tear of this weapon is done is actually kind of cool. You can see like almost like a red outline on the parts that are scratch. But yeah, I mean, it's actually a somewhat solid design outside of what's supposed to be its main feature, unlike a lot of the other Fallout skins, but nothing too crazy. Probably a low C tier because it has a really solid color scheme and general design, but it kind of fails at highlighting the feature it's trying to highlight. So yeah, low C tier for that. Anyway, next up we have the XM1014 Cali Camo, which it's a camo skin. It's a camo desert skin. I'm not a fan of camo skins. I'll say this every video. Just solid D tier, I guess. It's a brighter camo skin, so I'll give it some credit there, but it's really just a camo skin. Then we have the XM1014 Blue Steel, which is actually kind of an interesting idea. I like actually how this glows and how this looks in different lighting. Almost looks like a case harden, honestly, like a blue gem. But the problem is it's only on half the weapon. Like, there was no reason to just do these parts of the weapon. So it's kind of a lot worse for that, but I could see this being slightly better than stock. I mean, it's got a nice color of blue to it. But I don't see this being as good as the stuff in C tier. I'm saying this like right between C and D tier, so I'm gonna put it low C tier because I don't think it deserves to suffer with all the camo skins in the game. Then we have the XM1014 Banana Leaf, which I don't know what this has to do with bananas, but it definitely has a lot of leaves on it. I would normally, stuff like this is just bad camo skins, but this one actually has a real design to it. It has a bunch of leaves going across the weapon, and then the background, like the actual non-leaf parts, which isn't a lot of the skin, so a lot of credit there, is just a really bad color of dark green. It's kind of a dull design, but also, like, it's nice. I don't know how to describe why I like this, but I do kind of like the way the leaves are on the skin. I think it's pretty well done, and it looks kind of clean, weirdly enough. Probably still not as clean as that light blue skin we saw, but definitely one of the cleaner things we've seen. It's got a pretty nice design to it, like the leaves look nice. Well done. Then we have the XM1014 Blaze Orange, which it's the modern hunter but orange, but it actually kind of works. Because you basically have a nice orange skin with just like a few leaves going across it, and orange for some reason gets a color that reminds me of like autumn. So having leaves just flying across the skin and like a few twigs and stuff all over the place actually really fits this a lot better than the Modern Hunter. I actually really like how this looks. I'm sad that I'm probably never going to see this in game because it's expensive and old, but it actually looks kind of clean. I'd say probably an A tier. I really like this color orange, and it's the dominant feature, and then the other parts that aren't orange fit it really well. Yeah. Anyway, next up we have the XM1014 Very Camo Blue, which it's a blue camo skin, but you know, blue's a nicer color, so I'll give it credit for that and put it probably just as a solid high D tier. Yeah, I just do not like camo skins. Then we have the XM1014 Red Leather, which, yeah, I mean, it's a stock XM with a bunch of red leather on it. I know they have the top half stock here, but that actually kind of works better because it just looks like you put leather covers on your skin, and it kind of somewhat fits stock, right? Unlike a lot of weapons where it's just stock because I guess whoever made it was too lazy to texture the other half of the weapon. This one is half stock because the creator wanted it to be stock and wanted to fit the rest of their design around stock, and it kind of works pretty well. I mean, it's a good color of red they chose. Then it looks pretty solid. Nothing crazy, but it definitely looks solid. Probably a bit cleaner than the leaf one, but still under the blue spruce, because, I don't know, I mean, the blue spruce is just solid all around. Then we have the XM1014 Bone Machine, which has this one texture I've seen in about a million weapons, which is the skulls and bones floating around in like a vat of acid, except this one's got an interesting recolor and is still half stock. Honestly, it doesn't look that well with stock. Like, it looks really out of place having this side by side like this, and just for that I'm gonna have to really kind of keep this in D tier. I don't think I'd be using this. Like, it doesn't fit stock at all. It looks super out of place. Then we have the XM1014 Frost Bouree, which somewhat fits with stock, and it's just a really basic, you know, blue design. Nothing crazy, nothing really horrible. Probably just a nicer version of like the blue steel, honestly, if I were to give it credit for anything. So I'm gonna put it right above the blue steel. Then we have the XM1014 Red Python, which is a super dull red snake camo skin. It's so dull that honestly it's barely better than stock, and just for that, Like, just because of how dull it is, even though it's not a horrible design, it's actually okay. But it's so dull, even though it applies to the whole skin, that I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. Actually, I think I already had it where the stock was supposed to be, but I don't know where stock is. Yeah, this is awkward. Because I think this is the skin. That's why I said it looks like absurdly dark. But I don't know which one of these is stock from the tiny little viewpoint. No, let's just say this is stock, and then this is this new camo, all the way at the top of D tier. There you go. I'm sure that won't backfire later. Anyway. Now we have the XM1014 Quicksilver, which, it's interesting. Honestly, I've seen this in game very recently, and you generally see it like this, in which case this little white part draws your attention a little bit. You kind of look at it for a second, you're like, that's kind of interesting. And then otherwise, it just really looks like stock. Like, I know it doesn't look like stock here, but in game, it really just ends up looking like stock when it's like this. So it's just like a slight upgrade to stock with like a tiny, small, interesting detail that kind of works well with the skin. So I'm gonna put it right above what I put in as stock, which is definitely not stock, but whatever. Let's just pretend that's stock. Alright. Then we have the XM1014 Scumbria, which is I think the one that I just put where I thought I put stock. I mean, it's a simple fish came on the back, nice kind of texture in the front, but the other half is stock. But the fish camo kind of works with stock somewhat. It's moderately okay. I'd probably put it exactly where I have the blue steel, right at the bottom of C tier, like kind of between C and D. I'm assuming this is it actually, so I'm gonna put that in C tier. It's kind of hard to tell from the tiny things, but you guys know what these are. Then we have the XM1014 Slipstream, which is a more textured version of the one that everyone uses, like the one I always get as a drop. It doesn't really look that good though. It's a really shit design across the whole weapon. I can't tell what anything is. The color scheme's somewhat okay, so I give it credit for that. But honestly, it's a whole mess. I'd put it below the blue camo skin that we had right about here. And next up, we have the XM1014 Oxide Blaze, which had the potential to look really good. And looks somewhat okay. I mean, most of the time you see this, but for some reason they didn't make, like, it makes no sense to me that only half of this skin is rusted. They actually did make the back a bit rusty, and they put some texture on the handle, but they left this front part here and the bottom part here completely unrusted, and it looks really out of place when the rest of the skin is supposed to be so rusty. Otherwise, though, the actual blaze itself looks really solid. In-game, I guess it looks probably a bit better than it looks here. And yeah, I mean, it's a solid design of the blaze. That's about all there's to say about it. Probably gonna put this one above that little sand, like tan green combo that we had at the start. Yeah. Then next up we have the XM1014 Watchdog, which is stupidly clean. What the hell? It's like the two different things. It's like oxidized copper and normal copper kind of mixed together on the weapon with some really intricate designs. I really like this color of green they have here. And just the designs all across the board. Like every little part of this weapon has a lot of detail put into it and just looks super clean. Your eyes are drawn toward obviously the main design with the dogs here. And this just, I mean, this just looks like insanely... It looks like it should be an expensive skin. I don't actually know if it is and didn't really check. But it looks like it would be, right? It's a really, really nice looking skin. Probably putting this one in A tier and moving the orange one down to B tier for now. I might adjust that later. Anyway, then we have the XM1014 Ancient Lore. Not sure what lore this is talking about or anything, but it ends up just looking like a shit tier camo skin. I would not use this over stock. I'm putting this in bottom of D tier. Yeah, I mean, it's got something. It's got some colors on it, but that's about it. Got nothing else. Then we have the XM1014 Elegant Vines, which has an interesting kind of glow to it and a very weird looking texture. Like, I don't know what about this texture looks so off to me, but it just does. Like, it's supposed to be dull, but is also pretty vibrant while being dull. And then it's obviously half stock, which looks completely out of place with the rest of the skin. I really don't know why people keep doing this. There's no reason to just not continue the texture all the way down, and this is a recent skin too, so there's no real excuse. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a dull skin with some weird looking texture to it. I'm assuming this might be it. I'm gonna put it at bottom of D tier though. Nothing really crazy. I wouldn't use this over stock personally. Then we have a real classic, the XM1014 Heaven Guard. Generally a really solid clean finish of like jeans and then red alongside the jeans. You got like the little wings in the back that you never see, and then you have this little texture here that you tend to see. It's just a generally really solid finish, right? The color of red used is solid, and having jeans on an XM weirdly looks okay. And it's also just kind of a classic, right? It's really well known, really well respected. I'd say it's a solid B tier, definitely above the orange one. Yeah, it's just a really clean finish. I don't know how to explain it much better. Then we have the XM1014 Tecu Burner, which I've never heard of in my life, and it's just basically, this is like what the Oxide Blaze was before it rusted off. And honestly, I kind of wish this was like a full texture. Like, I don't know why they couldn't have just made this the same color of yellow. It would have looked so clean, having this like yellow-orange like go off into green, and then have the whole back be green or something. But no, they just can't make like full skins, so they ruined yet another skin. This is still slightly better than stock for the same reason the Oxide Blaze is, but it really doesn't have a lot more going on than that. It honestly ends up looking worse than the Blaze because the rust works better with the skin than the texture does, so I'm putting it right below the Oxide Blaze because that's pretty much what this is. Then we have the XM1014 Black Tie, which just really solid, very clean for sure. Black and white skin, has like the same color scheme of like a tuxedo, hence the name, you know, Black Tie. And yeah, I mean, that's all there is to really say about it. Just super clean, super beautiful colors, like the right colors of black and white, and just really well executed. I think everything was put exactly where it should be. Probably the best thing we've seen so far. Might even move it up to S tier if we don't have anything better come along. Then we have the XM1014 Seasons, which is my current skin. I know it's kind of hypocritical that I talk about skins not being finished and whatever, but I like the Seasons because it has so many patterns. Like, it's got a lot of unique patterns with a lot of different leaves. I know this is kind of weird, but you really don't see this front stock a lot, even though I've been complaining about it all video. So most of the time you see, like, all the... I don't know how to describe how you see this. I think you only see, like, the top half of the weapon or something. I don't really know. Or your hand, I think, is covering this whole bottom thing here. But I like the way the leaves all change colors, and depending on what pattern you get, you can have completely different colored leaves. The one I have, I bought specifically because it has a single blue leaf, like around here, that really sticks out. But a lot of people like this exact pattern that I'm showing off here, where it fades off into black and even has the gray leaves and whatever. I don't know, it just has a lot of patterns, and it looks pretty clean, and just vibrant generally, and really unique. I'm gonna put this up in A tier, I'm gonna move the other two up to S tier. Because this is my, you know, there's a reason I'm using this skin, it's because I like it. I don't really know how to describe it well, though. Then we have the XM1014 Ziggy, which was trying something, but definitely failed at whatever it was trying. That's all I can really say. I mean, it tried, I don't know, it tried being vibrant, it tried being shiny, it tried having like a weird acid trip design, and not a single one of those worked together well, or really worked in the first place. It kind of just falls apart every step of the way. I wouldn't really be using this thing. Probably an F tier for me. I'm assuming it's this. Actually, probably this one. Whatever. Anyway, then next up we have the XM1014 Zombie Offensive, which is trying what the Alt-Paw was trying, but with zombies. It doesn't look as, I mean, half of why people use the Alt-Paw is it's got a lot of really cool and really standout designs, right? There's like stuff like the golden cat or the cat throwing the grenade or something that kind of draws your attention to it right away. All these zombies kind of look the same. Like, just, it's really hard to pinpoint one guy doing one thing. Maybe that's because of how small the skin is on my screen or whatever, but I really could not tell you what any of these one guys were doing that's special compared to the others. So it ends up just looking like super bland. Definitely not horrible, it's probably still an improvement to stock. But that's about all I can really give it credit for. I'll put it low C tier. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Because there's definitely a lot of effort put into drawing this, but it doesn't have all the character that the Alt-Paw does. Then we have the XM1014 Tranquility, which, yeah, I mean, it's this really solid red finish across the whole skin. It's got like that red crystal finish on half of these parts, and then you have this interesting design with the woman doing something here. I couldn't really describe what she's doing here, but she's kind of chilling there. But generally, this is just a really nice rose red finish to the whole XM, and it looks pretty fucking beautiful across the board. I'd say probably over the seasons, but not as high as those two in S tier. Those things are kind of on a different plane of existence. Then we have, in our final three, we have the XM1014 Incinerator, which is a completed skin with fire. Crazy how many skins have failed this in the XM collection, but yeah. You have some little crocodile thing coming off the back, and that's mainly what you see. I think it's actually supposed to be a dragon, because it's breathing fire. I mean, it breathes fire out to the front of the weapon, and you can see it cuts off, and it's just kind of stock there, but it kind of works here. Because it's kind of like breathing fire along the rest of the weapon, and it works pretty well. Yeah, I mean, it's really simple, but really, really solid, really well done. Probably under the black tie for me, just solid S tier. I really do like the design of this. Then we have the XM1014 Entombed, which is another really intricate design, but doesn't have that same fancy feeling of the one that we have in S tier. Yeah. I mean, it's got like I guess it's supposed to be like, you know, the other one was supposed to be expensive ancient tomb stuff. This one kind of looks like it's expensive like textures, right? So they used to have like texture and clothes merchants or whatever back like in older times, like the really rich people are the guys selling clothes to people, and this is kind of that type of clothing, but on an XM for some reason. And then it has this random little blue gem in the back, but you never really see that unless you're inspecting this thing. So yeah, I mean, it just looks like someone put a bunch of clothes on their XM. It doesn't look completely horrible. I mean, it's got a pretty nice color scheme, and like I said, there's a lot of effort put into it. Pretty nice finish. But honestly, I think it belongs under the Heaven Guard. I think it's a solid B tier. Then our grand finale is not even red skin. There's no red skins for the XM. It's a pretty common trend with all the stuff we've been looking at so far. Is the XM1014 Xoxo, which, yeah, I mean, trying to be a pink, vibrant skin. So for people that really like, you know, pink or want pink in their collection, I mean, this is pretty, you know, cut and dry. This is what you pick. It's like 80% pink. And in-game, like I said, you never really see this handle, so it's less of a problem than it looks like. It's something I kind of had to remind myself of, and maybe I'd change some of my ratings if I remembered that, but at this point it's too late to kind of go back and change everything. But yeah, I mean, it's a pink XM for the most part, and it has some lime green in the back. That's pretty much it. It's not exactly a clean finish, but the colors that are here are stuff I know people really like, so I think it's a solid A tier for that alone. For just picking the right colors. And yeah, that's all the XM skins. There wasn't anything I thought was particularly amazing here. Some of it was definitely good, right? Like the stuff in the S tier and A tier I thought were pretty good. The stuff in B tier I thought was pretty good. But honestly, the S tier in this collection is maybe low A to high B tier in most other collections. There's not really any particularly phenomenal XM skins in the game yet, unfortunately, other than maybe the stuff in S tier. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed looking at these, and I will see you in the next one.